Second, Blake.
Okay, roll call please. Ken Alberty,
Yes.
Michael Buckingham,
Yes.
Lindley Howard,
Aye.
John Lake,
Aye.
Scott McGregor,
Yes.
Jackie Severings,
Aye.
and Secretary Johnson.
Aye. Okay, I am going to let, our attorney, quickly talk about why we went into executive session.
Thank you, Secretary Johnson. The board went into executive session pursuant to SDCL 125-2, subsection 3, to consult with legal counsel over Mr. Weibel's 3 petitions that were presented to the Board of Elections. After receipt of the declaratory ruling request dated March 27, 2024, the board requested further information by letter, U.S. mail to Mr. Weibel dated April 19, 2024. And in response to the board's letter, Mr. Weibel submitted a letter dated April 30th, 2024, along with 2 additional petitions for declaratory ruling. So we have 3 petitions submitted for declaratory ruling, 1 on March 27th, 2024, 2 on April 30th, 2024. The petitions enumerated the following 8 areas of relief. Number 1, he wanted a letter to be issued by the board to require ES&S to comply with security concerns. Number 2, he wanted an engineering change order with the U.S. Election Assistance Commission to add Norton antivirus software to the ES&S systems. Third, he wanted a letter be issued by the board to require compliance and an engineering change order with the U.S. Election Assistance Commission before any county is able to use the express vote systems for 2024 primary and general elections. Fourth, he wanted the board, in conjunction with the Secretary of State, to issue a decertification or advisory that all counties will have to suspend use of the ES&S express vote system due to security concerns. Fifth, he wanted the board to meet to update Administrative Rule 5020902 from version 2015 to 2021 to reflect what he says now, the new standards of the EAC. Sixth, he wanted the board to decertify ES&S EBS version 6.1.1.0. Seventh, Mr. Weibel stated that the vendor ES&S should reapply with any system that is compliant with VVSG 2015. And lastly, number 8, Mr. Weibel wanted to have the Secretary of State notify any county intending to run 6.1.1.0 for the primary election that they must cease using the uncertified system and perform a hand count of the primary election until the board is able to certify a compliant system. The board considered all 3 petitions for declaratory ruling, and the board pursuant to SDCL 1-26-15, a person can petition an agency for declaratory ruling as to the applicability of any statutory provision as it affects a particular situation. The petition must set forth the statute or State Board of Elections rule or order, the facts and circumstances which give rise to the issue to be answered by the board's declaratory ruling, and 3, the precise issue to be answered by the board's declaratory ruling. This is all found in Administrative Rule South Dakota 5020201. In this case, Mr. Weibel does not set forth an issue to be answered by the board. The petitioner instead wants the board to act by, among other items, issuing letters, decertifying ES&S systems, and ordering the counties to suspend the ES&S express vote system. Therefore, it's not appropriate to enter a declaratory ruling in this matter. Even if the petitioner's request is not considered a petition for a declaratory ruling, all 3 petitions must be dismissed because the board does not have jurisdiction to consider the petitioner's claims. The board's power is limited by subject matter specified by statute. The board has no statutory authority to hold a contested case hearing that would require the presentation of evidence and the testimony of witnesses. And my recommendation to the board is that they dismiss the 3 declaratory ruling requests. Mr. Weibel is able to appeal the decision pursuant to statute if he wishes. But my recommendation would be the board dismiss the petitions.
Is there any discussion? Any motions? Scott, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Most people like me to be muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And Madam Chair, I would move that the reported declaratory judgment petitions brought by Mr. Weibel be denied by this board because they do not in fact seek a declaratory ruling from us on a applicable statute, rule, or order as required by SDCL 1-26-15, which limits the basis on which we can issue a declaratory judgment for those factors, that it in fact seeks substantive relief on various matters for the reasons specified by counsel, and further to the extent that the petitions are asking us to accept certain allegations of fact, they present a claim for a contested case, and that this board, as advised by counsel, lacks the authority to hold a contested case hearing in this matter.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Alberty.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Kent Alberty,
Yes.
Michael Buckingham,
Yes.
Lindley Howard,
Yes.
John Lake,
Aye.
Scott McGregor,
Yes.
Jackie Sieverding,
Aye.
Secretary Johnson.
Aye. Okay, motion carries to dismiss. Now we will move on to, public comments, and we will allow about 20 minutes. And you can go up to the microphone, and please state your name and make sure you signed in. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Johnson and State Board of Election members. My name is Rick Weibel. Unfortunately, there were 5 petitions, not 3. And I also want to thank everybody for being here. I wish the State Board of Elections could actually be here because this is an important matter. And unfortunately, I didn't even get notice to attend this meeting. Luckily, we found it on the internet, and thankfully other folks here in the room did as well. I believe your rulings today were misguided based upon history in the meeting minutes that we can find on the State Board of Elections. But I also want to say thank you for making things really clear for America today. Today you showed us exactly why we must take back our elections, to do hand counts and to get rid of the machines. I sent in those 5 petitions. It started with the 3 original, separated out between the express vote, the tabulators, and then the laptops. Then in response to a letter from the office asking under what statute or rule, which was clear, that the State Board of Elections does have the authority to certify and decertify equipment as historically found in the meeting minutes. First, you certified an election system with the wrong standard. Secondly, you never tested the full system. Now that was a previous administration, not this one. So that's my warning to this administration to do better, and my encouragement. To ensure that the ballot images and cast vote records work properly, that's never been tested in this state. Third, you provide no guidance on what a valid test deck should look like to the auditors to ensure proper programming of the express vote systems or tabulators. I have a packet with me from one of the counties that actually show multiple candidates with the same number of votes, so you wouldn't know if the votes were flipped, as in the case in 2023 regarding Pennsylvania and the express vote machines regarding the judicial retention election. As in also the 2022 case in New Jersey, where even a simple programming issue where the wrong language was put in and they used the 2016 ballots instead of the 2022 ballots for candidates. Last year I brought in an example regarding those tabulators in Minnehaha County as well as the express votes. You dismissed it. Fourth, when we brought evidence that the systems are not secure, it seems like you could care less. Even though I watched the Sioux Falls city election take a thumb drive back and forth this year between the EMS reporting system and an internet connected machine, 12 times I recorded it on a 5-year-old Norton antivirus laptop. Fifth, I brought evidence of hardware that is being used in our elections that is not certified. You don't seem to care, nor do you request change orders of ESNS, which you have the authority to do, just from an administrative standpoint to protect us, to restore our faith. Sixth, I have brought up the issue of ballot images and cast vote records. Now the Secretary of State's office directed ESNS to set the default of the saved ballot image to off, potentially violating federal elections records retention requirements of 22 months, and lowering our ability to ensure election integrity and proper machine programming. That's not transparency. Even on your own website, you have election disinformation on this sheet that directs voters what's available on their ballots. You're missing the Democrat presidential candidates. That could be disenfranchising voters across the state. That alone sets the bar of the federal records retention requirements, because technically speaking, the tabulars take a picture of the ballot, then use that picture to analyze how the voters cast their ballot. It's actually termed a cast vote record, which in US Code 52, USC 20701, requires 22 months of record retention. And there's already case law in other states stating that those auditors must retain those records. And there's a 5-year look back. Seventh, I petitioned that you need to update the standards for review now that the voluntary voting system guidelines 1.0 and 1.1 have sunsetted as of November 15th, 2023. Modifications and smaller changes can be definitely submitted, but the larger modifications and new systems will have to fall under the 2.0. We should be ready. As a matter of fact, compared to the system that we're on right now, we're already 3 versions behind. We could be more secure using one of the newer systems, but ESNS hasn't brought it forward for our team to test here in the state. Eighth, this office refused to write a letter to simply state that hand counting is legal under 1217B-3, and the counties have the authority to make that decision at any time. Ninth, you didn't ask a single question about my petitions of me, which makes you unqualified to ensure the integrity of our elections in this state. And I hereby ask that all of you in the State Board of Elections resign due to willful negligence. 10th, I also ask that the Secretary of State and Deputy Secretary of State resign due to incompetence and willful negligence. Under God, the people rule. We must restore elections that are transparent ourselves, because those people have absolutely failed us and are not interested in elections that are transparent and honest. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Heather Baxter, and I want to introduce the online guest, Clay Parake. He has 20 years of experience in cybersecurity, information assurance. He has performed and led teams in vulnerability management, security testing evaluation, and system accreditation. He has supported both civil Department of Defense agencies within the U.S. government, as well as in international customers such as NATO. He holds a Master of Science in Cybersecurity, Computer Science from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. He has a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, Systems major from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, professional certification held, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, 17 years, Certified Ethical Hacker, and Certified Hacking Forensic Investigator. From 2008 to 2017, he worked part-time in voting system test labs. He has tested at least 7 different vendors' voting systems, and I'd like to yield the rest of my time to him.
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
everyone hear me?
Yes.
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 Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Yes, first I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak. I know I'm not a South Dakota resident, but I have worked with Britt and answered his questions, and I just want to reiterate that everything Mr. Wadsworth said is correct and 100% accurate, especially on the technicalities of the system. As somebody who's tested these systems, I've brought issues to both the EAC and the vendors, and the EAC has been non-respondent. And that's over a 9-year time span that I want to make that statement. Now, why Mr. Weibel's petitions focus on antivirus, that's just one of the issues with the configuration management of your voting systems. There's another key component called Cerberus, the FTP server. The version that's used on that so-called certified system is old and out of date. It was released in March of 2019. And it has buffer overflow, call site scripting, denial of service, and an authentication bypass. So what I just summed up right there through those handful of vulnerabilities are both remote and local exploits. These systems are not maintained. They should not be certified, and it's a major issue. To the point on image retention, I'm speaking as someone who's done forensic investigations for the federal government. Agencies within the federal government have authorized me to conduct forensic investigations. And what Mr. Weibel says about the images need to be retained is 100% accurate. I read a response from the Office of Hearing Examiners that was to Jessica, and their response that they can conduct an investigation without those images. I would like to speak to any of the law enforcement agents and anyone who can tell me how they can forensically investigate that system, especially as those systems, what Rick said about the images being analyzed, that is what's analyzed. That temporary image that's created is what the software evaluates. You have to have that. That is in the digital chain of custody. When this option to turn off the saving of the image, I raised issue with both the EAC and the voting system test labs that I worked in, because this is a violation of the rules, and it should not be allowed. And it's not in South Dakota. It's a major issue. And other things, the CVR not being able to be provided, that is supposed to be a record and should be provided. There are multiple issues, but in consideration of time, I'm just going to be short and quick to the point that what Mr. Wobble said, it is accurate. The AV being out of date, there's other applications of vulnerabilities. These systems are not maintained. There's no integrity to these systems. And furthermore, on the express vote, any of those systems that use a barcode or a QR code, that is what's analyzed. Therefore, those systems violate Title III, Section 301, Section A of the HAVA Act. So they should never have been certified. And there is no technical reason that the vendors cannot change those systems. So I just want to make those statements as somebody who's tested the voting systems, who's understood all the federal laws and the requirements wrapped around the voting system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board and Secretary of State Johnson. First, I have so much I would like to talk about, and there's so little time. My main point here right now is, one, Monet, I want to leave this button for you. It says no transparency, no trust, and a lot of people have those on today. You have done the most outstanding job of providing less transparency than what we've had in the past. As an auditor of the largest county, you do not provide very good guidance or support. there's a few things that you failed to do. One of them, I'm gonna talk about, has nothing to do with elections at this point, but it does have to do with our voter registration. So in, July 1st of 23, there was a codified law that was added to our system, 12-4-57, and your office failed to notify the Supreme Court of their requirement to have the clerk of courts send a list 15 days after the close of each month to notify us of our excused jurors. And how this affects us as auditors is that we are unable to update our voter registration files adequately. That wasn't brought into focus until I asked our clerk of courts if they were going to be providing those lists for me. And it brought up conversation that was not being done. Since then, they're beginning to comply, but we still fail to have that list updated from July 1st of 23 to December 31st of 23. The first list I got was in April, and it included everything from January 1st to March 31st. And I have someone in my office working on that, and we are getting lists now. However, it was just a failure that did not need to happen. Next, the reason I have so many things to talk about is because I can't communicate with you. I was very happy to campaign for you and was pleased to come alongside you. And as an auditor, you have completely turned your back, especially on me, because I'm upholding my campaign promises, which were the same as yours, but you are not. So I just want to tell you that to your face right now. Next, it's my county that has this problem with the laptops. So the laptop that I inherited when I began as auditor was an HP laptop that's not certified, that's not part of the appropriate equipment for an EMS laptop. The antivirus, yes, it's out of date. It's from 2019, and I get a pop-up message every time I'm on there that tells me that it's out of date. And yes, during the city election, our IT department, who operates that laptop during an election, was transferring the thumb drive back and forth 12 or 13 times from an internet-connected computer back to the EMS laptop to transmit results and record results. And they have informed me multiple times that I should not be worried about that. Well, yes, I am, because a thumb drive should not be transferred back and forth when you have out-of-date antivirus protection on your laptop. I can't even take a thumb drive at my county and put it in my computer and download a voter registration file that's too large for me to email, because that would be out of compliance at my county, but yet they're allowed to take a thumb drive back and forth. So that's wrong, and I've talked to ES&S about it. I've sent an email to Chris Relashan about that, and also asking to get that antivirus updated. Next, test decks. Yes, our test decks for our primary for this election were not large enough to be compliant with having unique numbers of votes for each candidate. I worked all this weekend, and I've worked till about 9 or 10 o'clock every night in the last couple weeks, trying to make sure that my election is run very well and has wonderful testing, but I've had to do that on my own. The testing that's provided by ES&S with test decks and blank test ballots for hand marking were not sufficient. So with the help of Mr. Weibel, creating a spreadsheet to have those appropriate votes for candidates, I was able to come up with a good way to do my test deck. One note with that, we discovered in that testing process that light blue pen marks are not being picked up by the tabulators. So using blue or black ink, which was just recently changed, may not be appropriate. And so no one's really tested that and come up with that answer for you. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind that we need darker ink marks for those to be tested. Also, several races, the fold mark, when we fold the ballot in half, may be affected. We are still working on that. Another thing, just as auditors, we spend a great deal of time, money, and resources attending training and going through all this testing process. And none of that training that's been provided, nor this testing that is recommended, has been sufficient, in my mind, in providing truly transparent and secure elections. I have gone above and beyond to do that in my county, and I intend to continue to do that, and I intend to be transparent. Lastly, your office has been telling people that are asking about the ballot images being on and saved that there was a court ruling on that. That case was not decided on evidence, it was decided on standing. Basically it was thrown out, and the Office of Hearing Examiner's decision is not equivalent to a court ruling. Telling auditors not to save the cast vote record and ballot images was based on an incorrect decision, and telling us to not do that because it's not public record, those are completely separate topics. Telling me not to do my job properly because the public isn't supposed to get a cast vote record or ballot image is wrong. I'm gonna do my job the way I should do it, and that is to save all records and all images and do it the right way, and to be transparent. Whether or not that's released as public record, that's a whole different topic. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, you guys might be here for one more minute, but I think these people all came here to talk today, so we'll be here for a while. So, thank you, Secretary of State and Board, Jessica Palmer, Minnehaha County. So here we are at yet another Board of Elections meeting, and things keep going from bad to worse. Monet, we supported you, we campaigned for you, we donated money to you, we hosted you in our homes, we prayed over you, we put up signs for you, and we put our necks in the line for you. You made promises to us, and in this article that I have here, remember this one? That's the one we got mad at Rick and dumped them because of your quotes. In this article, you were quoted saying you would like an audit of every precinct and to push for hand counting in every county.
Time.
You lied.
It's 12:20.
Rachel and Tom, you showed up to testify against every one of our election integrity bills.
Point of order,
You campaigned.
Jessica.
I am not leaving. You work for me, ma'am.
Yes.
You testified against our bills. Our post-election audit summer study was a sham. 2 of the 3 days were
If you
spent
remember,
discussing
I brought
how to
Senate
use
Bill
a machine to do
48.
the audit.
Rick
No efforts were
testified
made to
for it,
review or
Matt
improve the
against
hand
it.
count
Thank
methods
you very
used to
much.
perform the audit, which technically is just a recount, not an audit. The auditors who have seen our hand count method have admitted that this is far superior to the method that you have now. And here's an example of the tally sheet, which we would ask Lindley, I think you've seen this, maybe Jackie, and the auditors that have seen this hand tally method have admitted it's far superior, so we would ask you to move as a Board of Elections to adopt a new rule to adopt the tally sheets. Monet, you invited Jennifer Morrell, a far-left Democrat operative, into the summer study who is affiliated
Board
with
members,
leftist
can I have a motion
organizations
to adjourn,
and the
please?
2020 cover-up.
Respect.
You promised us the CVRs, and you publicly stated you wanted ballot images, yet your office is still blocking access to the CVRs, and you ordered ES&S to turn them off. We have sent notices, well, your office is sending out non-truths and disinformation in response to the questions regarding the ballot images,
Do we have a
claiming it's
motion
not
to
public
adjourn,
record.
Board?
Whether the CVRs and ballot images are public record or not, the machines make them. They're created, they are the digital audit trail to the machines, and all election officials must save and preserve them for 22 months per federal law. We have sent notices to every county official as well as the legislature, the Attorney General's office, and of potential criminal activity. Any violations of the law after being notified will prove intent. The South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance has sent out a notice suggesting that ballot images be saved and preserved. Seems they know they will be on the losing end of a lawsuit when you are sued. But shortly after that, an email came out from Rachel Sulek, sent to more gaslighting to the officials, suggesting that keeping electronic records that they do not use would cause a cybersecurity risk. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Has anyone considered that the 62 counties that do not have an EMS should actually have one? That these records are created for auditing and are necessary to ensure accuracy? How is it that South Dakota has received $27 million for electronic elections and still has no access to the audit trail? And to this date, no one has ever performed a real post-election audit.
You need to get in compliance. Your meeting's not adjourned. Please allow
Your
it to be
guidance
on.
has put every election official in the state at risk of committing felony records retention violations. Intentional malfeasance is a class 2 misdemeanor. Misdemeanors are grounds for removal from office. Felonies are grounds for prison time. Monet, you also promised transparency, yet everything you have done is less than transparent. In fact, you're
Would
actively
you like to
working
make
to
a
defraud
motion
the
to
citizens of
adjourn,
South
please?
Dakota of transparent elections and access to the audit trail. The cast vote records and ballot images are in fact a public record. The OHE made a bad decision based on false information that was provided by ES&S. The OHE is not a circuit court. It is an executive branch issuing a judgment on the executive branch, which does not hold the weight of a circuit court.
Your meeting's
You
not
have
adjourned.
said
Her
many
mic
times-
Turn
needs
her
to be
mic
on.
on.
Turn the mic on, please.
Stop the
Turn
violation.
her mic on.
You have said many times that you plan for 2 terms as SOS, and this gig is your retirement plan. Well, I'm here to tell you, you'd better find a different retirement plan. No transparency, no trust.
My name is Nicole Braithwaite. I'm from Spearfish, South Dakota. From candidate Monet Johnson, you're credited with this quote: "I want to move forward and bring that trust forward. The way to do that is more transparency." If this is true, then please explain to us why all you do is fight us and fight transparency in our elections in every way possible. Monet, are you safe? Are you being blackmailed? At this point, none of us can figure out what has happened to you. Your direction to turn off ballot images is the complete opposite of transparency. Our elections are sacred. They have consequences, and stolen elections have catastrophic consequences. Without fair and transparent elections, we do not have a country. On Monday, we remembered and honored those who gave the ultimate sacrifice of their life in the pursuit of keeping this great constitutional republic free. There are approximately 1.25 million combined combat and non-combat deaths of military members since 1775. I personally, as in with my own hands, took proper care of 600 combat dead military members during wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was responsible for accepting their bodies at temporary mortuary facilities on multiple deployments, opening their transfer cases, removing any melted ice or blood that had accumulated, replacing the ice bags, checking their body bags for tears, and fixing those that needed it. I resealed their cases, inspected and perfected the position of the American flag that draped their case, and then conducting the solemn ceremony that transferred their bodies onto the aircraft that was to bring them home to Dover Air Force Base. To their grieving families, every decision you make to fight the will of the people and where you willfully work to ensure our elections are not transparent and auditable and secure is spit on the graves of these service members who gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country, and offensive to veterans such as me and my husband who have a combined 44 years of faithful and honorable service to this country. This is personal for me. Securing our elections and holding you all accountable is personal for me. Continuing to talk about this and apply as much pressure as I can as just one person is personal for me. With the interference of your office in our petition process to bring hand counting to a vote of the people at the county level, it's personal for me. I'm now battling in court your so-called election expert lawyer who convinced our commissioners to break the law and inflict lawfare on us. It's personal for me. We are not going away. We will continue to expose your bad decisions and, quite honestly, traitorous actions. Machines can be hacked, hijacked, manipulated with and without an internet connection. The entire process, from disastrous voter registration laws, messy voter rolls, to early and no excuse absentee voting, to allowing the existence of people's mailboxes, mail forwarding residency centers, to using these corrupt machines controlled by corporations, to black box Albert sensors, to CISA gaslighting and CIS control of our elections. How can you honestly say all is well and our elections are the gold standard? It's not too late to do the right thing, and we are all honestly praying for you. Thank you for your time.
My general remarks, thank you very much. I do want to thank Jackie Severdeen for serving on the Board of Elections. She's retiring after 33 years, so I want to thank you for that. And next Tuesday is our primary election day, so thank you for that. And now I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
One more. I want to be heard, Monet.
Go ahead, Linda.
Excuse me.
Turn your mic on.
She's a veteran too, she deserves.
I am a veteran, 23
Public
years.
comment has ended.
No, it
No, it
has
hasn't.
not.
No, it hasn't.
I am a 23-year-old, 23 retired veteran too.
I have a motion to adjourn by Spunkenberger. Do I have a
Keep
second?
talking, Linda.
And I took an oath when I was a soldier. When I became a soldier,
Seriously.
you took an oath. I took an oath to protect the Constitution
All
from
in favor, say aye.
Keep talking, Linda.
Keep talking, Linda. Keep talking.
those who are against the Constitution, both foreign and domestic. This is domestic terrorism against our Constitution.
That's really.
Yes, yes.